Good morning, Wildings. It's time for another intuitive tarot card reading. Today we're going to do a reading for any channeled messages that your person wants you to know. Probably going to be a no contact or separation situation, but we'll see what channeled messages come out. So if that sounds like something that you either want or need today, stick around for the video. Hey there, Wildings. Welcome to your reading for what your person wants you to know right now. This is a reading for any situation. We're going to get channeled messages, no matter what kind of relationship or situation you're in right now, or what that state is. As always, I've left a brief description of each reading in the very, very bottom of the description box below. If for whatever reason you need to utilize that for whatever self-care you're currently practicing, avoiding being triggered or whatever your situation is, that's always there for you as an option. But for the rest of you, I'd encourage you to use your intuition to choose a pile for channeled messages regarding what your person needs you to know. Remembering that most of the time Spirit's going to deliver on what it is you're intending, but sometimes there might also be messages about maybe like a past situation or someone else or some other circumstance that might be more helpful to you right now. So just heading into whichever reading you choose, like super open, and we will see what we can download for you. Whenever you're ready, going ahead and choosing one of these three piles, and wherever you end up, I will see you there momentarily. Hey there, pile one, welcome to your reading for what your person wants you to know right now. Before we get into the reading using our tarot and oracles, I'm just going to check the general themes of this reading using this astrology deck, so we can get an idea of what the kind of like overall agenda, I would say, of your person is. Spirit, could we please have the themes of what pile one's person wants them to know? And just while I'm shuffling pile one, remembering to use your intuition when it comes to discerning which messages are for you, which ones aren't, and which messages might have a better interpretation for your situation. That intuitive and discerning part when receiving a tarot reading is like by far the most important part of the reading. All right, so we have Black Moon Lilith, which is a card of mystery, but it's also like a very like powerful divine feminine energy. It said that Lilith was in the Garden of Eden with Adam before Eve arrived. Eve being the more kind of traditionally feminine like idea and archetype that we have in our mind usually, whereas Black Lilith is like kind of like the witch archetype, like very, very powerful, very mysterious. We also have the Sun card, which can reflect our like spirit and life purpose. It can also reflect our like our ego and personality. And then we also have the Mars card, which is usually known as our like masculine energy, and also relates to the way we move through the world, especially when it comes to like pursuits and more our kind of like more naturally aggressive kind of nature. But let's clarify what messages your person wants you to receive using this traditional tarot. I am getting from this pile that because the Sun is also like reflective of yang energy, like these are both very yang cards, and this is obviously divine feminine. This could potentially be a divine counterpart situation, maybe twin flame, soulmate, or some sort of like soul contract to do with the divine masculine and divine feminine. But let's see what comes out. Yeah, this is almost definitely romantic, I'm gonna say. Spirit, what other messages do you have? trying to make sure everything fits in. I'll have to check to make sure these are all in the shot. Can we get any more messages about thank you? And any other messages from pile one's person? Any other messages from pile one's person? We clarify the ace, thank you. And the 3 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Cups, please. Okay, what I'm getting straight away, pile one, is that your person wants you to know that they're unlocking like new like levels of like love and partnership and like emotional availability and satisfaction and abundance, and just like they're just like unlocking so much good stuff when it comes to romantic relationships. It seems like they had to actually do a lot of hard work to kind of create this change and better balance within themselves in being able to actually handle romantic relationships, because it seems like in the past they definitely, like, I think they just weren't feeling like successful or well-rounded, or like they weren't even in a place where they could be like really grateful for the connection that the two of you had, because they were just like so out of whack in themselves. Like they had so much work to do on themselves, especially it seems to do with their like divine masculine energy, especially to do with their like purpose and spirit, and like going after what they want in life and creating success based on, you know, something that actually fills their cup and actually feels like divinely they feel divinely called to do and be in service of, as well as just like generally unlocking that masculine, divine masculine energy, and like kind of like embracing that, going after what you want, and like not really not making excuses for yourself or people pleasing, or, you know, like being really firm in your boundaries and your purpose and like kind of all that sort of stuff. Like it seems like your person had so much to do in terms of all this kind of work, which was kind of like their karma from like past relationships, their childhood, like kind of like a whole bunch of different experiences that kind of led them to be just like super disempowered and lacking in clarity when it came to their own like divine masculine energy, and it stopped them from being able to collaborate with you and work as a team for sure. And all of this stuff that they had to do and they had going on and that they needed to like very diligently work on for this time, however long you've been apart, like I'm definitely getting heavy separation energy, especially with this 8 of Cups here. Like I'd say that you and your person, whatever your soul contract is, whether it's like twin flame or soulmate or like karmic or whatever it is, like they needed to like abandon this connection to go work on themselves, because they were just like essentially like a terrible partner for you. They were not standing in their power. They were not clear. They didn't feel empowered in basically any part of their life. Like they weren't empowered like emotionally, they weren't empowered like when it came to like their job and success and all that sort of stuff. Like they were really out of balance and just like not working on the things that they really wanted to work on, and just like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't illuminated to them that needed to be illuminated in this time for them. So yeah, it was definitely super important for this karma clearing that they abandoned the connection at the time that they did, and what I'm getting from them is they want you to know that that was never ever about you. Like they abandoned this connection not because of you or anything that you said or did or didn't do or whatever. Like please don't give yourself a hard time for anything right now. Your person wants you to know that like it was kind of always part of the divine plan for them to abandon this connection and like go work on their stuff, because like it was kind of like you come into their world and like kind of rocking it essentially with this Black Moon Lilith card. Like she's a very challenging archetype. Like she definitely challenges you to step into your fullness. It was always kind of like in the divine plan that when they encountered you, that they were going to go away and do all of this work for sure. Yeah, so your person wants you to know that like they've been working really hard on all this stuff, and they want you to know that they're like entering into like this new phase of just like emotional availability, and they've like kind of let go. Like I'm getting that in the past maybe they were like super hot-headed, very quick to like say maybe destructive things, and like just kind of they weren't channeling their passion in a productive way. They were like being quite destructive about it, and they want you to know that like this whole time that's what they've been overcoming and working on in themselves, and it was kind of like it was always part of the plan. Yeah, so I think it was your like kind of energy that brought this out in them. Kind of what I was saying before around the sun representing the yang, the moon represents the yin, and sometimes like people can be so kind of like so far yang in a very like negative and destructive way, like kind of what I was saying before with this Knight of Swords in reverse, just like super like opinionated and like big-headed and like all that sort of stuff. And so this person had to create some balance, and kind of like how they really brought about more of that divine masculine energy was actually connecting with their, like, first of all, you as a feminine energy, but also connecting with their own feminine energy. So it was kind of like adding this layer of like compassion and calm and like intuition and spirituality into their practice, because the like traditionally the feminine is the like keeper of the of spirituality in tribes. Like I know there's like this big culture around like dudes doing like meditation and yoga and blah 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 blah, but always historically that kind of spiritual work has always been like kept by the divine feminine. So that's what they really needed to connect to work on like just being a better partner, because they just were not a good partner in the past, and they weren't really great for themselves either to be honest. Yeah, they definitely weren't seeing things clearly. This King of Swords is kind of the archetype of I would say like maybe more of the magician, because the magician's like very much that kind of like intellectual objective observer, like relying on their perception and like acting on it kind of energy. Yeah, this person like definitely like in the past was not embodying that energy very well. They were like very disempowered, so they kind of like had to overcome a lot in order to get to like either where they are now or where they're going to be heading very soon. And I think also in the past maybe they weren't that courageous in like stepping forward to like claim their queen essentially. Like I think potentially in this connection, the first time around, you were like very clear, like you were very perceptive. You kind of had this like Black Moon Lilith kind of intuitive knowing that the two of you were like some sort of like divine counterpart. But at the time, like they were not there, they weren't ready. And like I'm sure there was things that you had to work on as well. But given just the nature of this reading, like yeah, definitely what they want you to know is they had a lot of work to do, and it wasn't about the work that you had to do. It was just shit that they needed to have sorted in themselves, for them to really enter into like this kind of like new phase of like way more abundance, kind of like divine masculine energy, like manifesting instead of like relying on their intellect so much, kind of becoming a lot more well-rounded, and like finding their own alignment and happiness, because before they stepped away to do all this work, they were not aligned and not happy. And like I think potentially your relationship, kind of saw the consequences of that misalignment and unhappiness. So yeah, it was very important that they stepped away to work on what made them truly aligned and happy on their own, because they wouldn't have been able to get to this like new phase of like being able to manifest what they want and get what they want in life had they not stepped away. Yeah, and so this text said, this text says, the Fairy of Time wants you to experience every moment fully and make the most of your precious time. Be mindful not to waste others' time either. I think this person knew that they were wasting your time the first time around because they just did not have their shit together, and for them to not waste your time and for them to be much more present and like appreciating time, like they really needed to go away and work on their stuff. They really needed to find the light within themselves. The text says the Fairy Queen of Light comes to shed love and light onto your current situation and remind you that light can penetrate the darkness. Your person wants you to know that like it was meeting you that really penetrated all of their stuff and all of their darkness and just illuminated what they needed to work on. Like before they met you, they didn't really know, they weren't very clear on what they needed to work on. They had a lot of karma that was kind of like blocking their view or perception of situations, and especially blocking how they were showing up in the world, even from themselves. And so like they're so grateful that you came into their life and like kind of shone a light on everything that they needed to work on. And it was definitely your light that helped penetrate like their deepest darkness, for sure. But yeah, it was all kind of like part of the divine timing. And even though it potentially got super dark for both of you in this time, like it was kind of like the dark before the dawn for both of you. But I'm sensing, especially for your person, they really needed to like find their own light within before they could come and offer you some of their light to share back in this partnership. But I think like your person just really wants you to know like all the stuff they've been working on, and that stepping away from this connection was part of a divine protection of you. Like they just knew that they weren't showing up the way that you deserved. And even though abandoning this connection was really hard, they knew that the only way that they were going to actually really be able to do their work was to step away. And part of that, I think, is also like spirit's intervention. Like I think your person, especially at the time that this abandonment was initiated, maybe they weren't consciously aware of kind of some of the higher reasons why they needed to abandon this connection. Like probably now, if your person's been separate from you for a while, they might be starting to get it, but definitely at the time they were very much in the dark of how much spirit was intervening and offering the two of you protection by separating you at that time, in order for you two to have the best chance of coming back together in the future. Because often if a person who was in this much of a mess and just was this unclear and disempowered and not able to show up for you, if they had have stayed in this situation, like the two of you potentially could have done so much more damage to each other and destroyed this connection beyond repair. So for sure, sometimes this abandonment is a form of divine protection. And whether your person knew it or not at the time, like that was definitely a big part of it. They also want you to know that they see you as beautiful. They definitely, I'm getting that they miss like seeing you because they feel like super inspired by your beauty. And that's something that they definitely really miss, for sure. Do we have any other channeled messages from pile one's person, please? Any other channeled messages from pile one's person, please? So we have self-love, gratitude, and creation. I think your person really needed to, like, work on their own self-love, but also B, step away to protect this connection so that your self-love wasn't damaged by them staying around and not being able to treat you right. Sometimes when people stay with people that aren't treating them right, it can really negatively affect their self-esteem. So your person definitely wanted to protect your own feeling of self-love by stepping away from this connection. And also they needed to work on their own self-love as well. But they're like super grateful for like this opportunity to like have the light shone on what they needed to work on, and start to create like a new life that's like so much more aligned and like happy and like just generally like better for them than whatever situations they'd had in the past. Like they're definitely in much more of an empowered manifesting energy than they were before. It seems like your person's done a lot of healing. I'd be very surprised if this is like a fresh breakup, because it seems like your person's like definitely learned a lot. So I'd say you guys have probably been apart for some time. And in that time, they've definitely just like meditated on a bunch of stuff in terms of like how they were showing up in their life and what they wanted in life, and like how to like serve others in a more purposeful way, how to serve themselves in a more purposeful way, how to like kind of connect with their like divine masculine energy, how to like maybe overcome some of their like ego and blocks, definitely some of their karma. But yeah, it's been a time for your person for sure. Okay, so we've got a bit here in terms of the love oracles. So we've got kisses, so unconditional love and I like you. So they've got unconditionally loving, giving and receiving affection, falling in love. They definitely, like, this person has a lot of love for you, even if you're in separation, like so much love. We also have romance is blooming, fun flirting and wanting to date. So I think they definitely are potentially like closer to kind of like reuniting energy and wanting to like reinitiate things with you. I think they've been working on a lot of their like own codependent kind of tendencies, but I'm sensing that they're maybe not done with that sort of stuff. But I'm also sensing that maybe your person is like potentially going to reconnect with you anyway. Like obviously you don't need to be completely healed to be in connection with someone, and you can have some of those kind of like codependent tendencies, as long as you're prepared to like consciously be like aware of it and work together on that sort of stuff as a team. Like it's so fine for you to be in connection and still have some of those tendencies, as long as you do it like super mindfully. So I think your person wants you to know that they've been like working on a lot of their stuff and they're a lot better in a lot of ways. They probably still have some work to do, but they're not necessarily going to let that block stop them from coming back to you like super late. So we have the Grim Reaper. The last text that I'm most drawn to is grow and transform your life. I think your person's definitely let go a lot of this karma, and essentially kind of like change their life. Like they want you to know that who they were in the past is like done, and like who they are now is like super different. And that's probably why they kind of like want to date like more. So there's like no kind of like long-term commitment cards here, because they actually kind of like want to get to know you again and take it slow and like kind of start from scratch, because as far as they see it, the person they were in the past is like gone. They've evolved so much, and they're like, they've grown and transformed their life so much that they're like basically on a new slate, and they want to have that new slate with you for sure. They definitely want to take a chance on this connection. I think they're kind of like maybe a little bit at odds between deciding if they want a little bit more time to have worked on a little bit more of this stuff, or if they're like kind of prepared to take a chance right now and like open back up to you. And I'd say there's probably going to be different people here. Like I'd say some people will probably hold on a little bit longer, and some people, their person might come in a little bit sooner, just based on these cards. I think it'll be a little bit of a mix. So it'll really just depend on your person and essentially how ballsy they are and how much confidence they have in themselves. But either way, it'll all be like part of the divine timing of your connection. Like, I'm sure your person like won't rush into it too early. Just a few of you might have a person that just needs a little bit more time. Do we have anything else for pile 3, please? Anything else for pile 3, please? Okay. So the affirmation we have for you, pile 1. I don't think that's ever happened. Naming a pile that I haven't even done yet. I attract good luck and I am open to receiving miracles. I think this card is definitely for you around being open to receiving what this person will potentially like come into your life and offer. So at the moment, really focusing on staying open and that kind of like attracting magnetic energy, and like definitely when these miracles arrive, like going with the flow with them as much as possible, because that will definitely help the flow of this connection in the future. So it was important for you to know that. But this is like a fair bit for you to take away and like ponder on. So I think I'm going to leave that there, pile 1. I hope you got everything out of this reading that you really wanted and needed today. And if you made it all the way through, I appreciate it so much. If you would like to see me back on your page again very soon, please like, comment and subscribe, especially if your reading resonated, so that we can make that happen. Ciao. Hey there, pile 2. Welcome to your reading for what your person wants you to know right now. Before we get into the rest of the reading using this traditional tarot and our oracles, I'm first going to check the general themes of what your person wants you to know using this astrology deck. And just while I'm shuffling pile 2, keeping in mind that it's important that you use your intuition and discernment during readings. It's actually one of the most important parts of receiving a reading is kind of flexing that intuitive muscle around knowing which messages are for you, which ones aren't, which ones maybe have a better interpretation for your situation. But with that said, let's go ahead and get messages from your person. Okay, so we've got the South Node, which is a lot to do with karma. So definitely karma is going to be a theme in your person's channeled messages. Do we have anything else for the themes of pile 2's person's channeled messages, please, Spirit? Can we have any more themes about pile 2's person? Okay, so we also have the transformation card. So karma and transformation. I'm guessing that this person wants you to know about some of the ways that they've transformed and cleared their karma, or some of it at least. And then we have Capricorn energy, some earth sign, cardinal, comes with the affirmation I use, but also has a lot to do with like status, ambition, working hard, being very practical. We also have angel numbers 11 and 22, 11 being like signifying like kind of new cycles or like the start of like a spiritual upgrade or learning, and then 22 is a partnership number, so it usually has a lot to do with new romances and things like that. But we're going to clarify all of this using our traditional tarot to find out what your person wants you to know right now. Pile 2. Can we please get messages around what pile 2's person wants them to know right now? Do Do we have any more messages around what pile 2's person wants them to know right now? Do we have any more messages around what pile 2's person wants them to know? Okay, this is definitely interesting. Any more messages? Any more messages around what pile 2's person wants them to know? Can we clarify this Two of Pentacles, please? And the Nine of Swords. And the Six of Cups, please. Okay, so we definitely have a bit here, guys. Okay, so something interesting I'm noticing straight away, pile 2, is I would guess that this is a separation situation, just based on how the cards came out. But you've got the Three of Pentacles and Three of Wands here. Threes in numerology represent creating, and they usually, and it usually entails some sort of like teamwork or collaboration, or connection with someone, because like you can't really create without another person, which is why like the most creative signs and houses in astrology like usually reflect like also reflect kind of like sexual energy, because you kind of need another person to like create like big things in this world. And like even when you're being creative on like your own accord, you're actually creating with the universe. Like it's never just like creation never happens in a silo. It always happens in balancing with someone else. Anyway, enough about threes. We've got the Three of Pentacles and Three of Wands. The Three of Pentacles being a very practical energy is usually more about planning and collaborating, where the Three of Wands is more about like the go part of that, like the actual inspired action part. So like these energies are telling me that your person right now is probably planning to reconnect with you, but they're not ready to act just yet. So they're still like overcoming some of their poverties to do with particularly financial wealth. I'm sensing that in the time apart, your person maybe had a lot of blocks when it came to money, like a lot of karma to clear when it came to money. Like I don't think they were actually like seeing their worth and valuing themselves. So they had like a lot to transform in terms of that kind of story, because actually I'm sensing that your person is like a highly ambitious, highly motivated, very high status, very well educated, very kind of like worldly and like a very like kind of powerful driven person. But they had some potentially blocks around money that they needed to clear to kind of like step into their fullness in terms of this Capricorn energy. Like I'm sensing that, yeah, they just weren't quite in their fullness when it came to that part of themselves that was very, very authentic, but they just had some blocks to do with money. And I think like ultimately what inspired them to do that work was like you actually make them want to provide for you and give really generously. So ironically, like they actually couldn't do this work on their own, because I think at the time they were feeling kind of like low self-worth, so they kind of like didn't see themselves as worth fighting for when it came to their finances and job and like kind of moving up the ranks, even though that was very authentic for who they are on the inside. But like meeting you made them want to give so generously to you that they kind of like started fighting for a more authentic expression of that like provider energy, like for you ultimately. Like obviously it was for themselves as well, and it helped them grow and turn them into like a much more authentic and like honest version of themselves. But like it was definitely you that inspired them to do that. Like I don't think they would have necessarily cleared this karma and transformed this part of their life had they not known you. So sixes in numerology represent excess. That's why it's the devil's number, 666. It represents excess. So this person wanted to have just like literally so much success, like financially and like in terms of networks and like all that sort of stuff to like really spoil you with. And I think like this was like kind of what has been inspiring them a lot in terms of like their spiritual development. And like, yeah, like I definitely think that when they started to work on like this kind of like money situation of theirs, they were actually just like became so much more passionate and inspired, like by you, but also by themselves, and also by all the change that they were creating in their life. Like I think maybe this kind of like financial work was maybe some of the first like kind of spiritual and emotional development your person had ever like kind of really stuck into and really gotten a good result out of. And it just like really changed the way that they approached kind of spiritual work and like emotional work and trauma work and shadow work and like all that stuff. Like I'm seeing that now that they've kind of like done a lot of this stuff and potentially like changed a lot of their scripts and transformed a lot of that energy, like they're in this like totally new energy when it comes to like manifesting, trauma work, shadow work, like kind of all that stuff. Like they're just like in such a different place right now. And like I think it's definitely like inspiring them to come forward to you for sure, and they want you to know like all this work that you've inspired them to do and like all the great things that they have in their life right now because of your presence in their life. But I am sensing that your person is kind of like, they have a lot of anxieties and hang-ups about actually coming forward to you, which is why there's like this stuckness in terms of like actually coming forward. Like they're definitely thinking about it. They want to like plan to come forward. They want to collaborate in some way. They want to like reconnect with you for sure, but like they haven't had that like kind of like last kick of inspired action to move towards you, because they're like holding on to a lot of anxieties. And this might be anxieties to do with the past of your connection. Like I'm sensing maybe there's some karma to clear between the two of you, and some things to transform, probably by doing some of this like shadow work that your person's kind of like just started getting into, using all of this kind of like more practical financial kind of energy. But I'm seeing that they definitely want like a new start with you. So the Six of Cups is like a very kind of like youthful, dreamy, innocent, sometimes nostalgic kind of energy. I think maybe looking back at this connection now from the place that they're in now, they're like very much seeing it very differently, and they're definitely nostalgic for the way things were in terms of like, I think they kind of missed out on a lot of the great stuff that was within this connection the first time around. And they're definitely like missing all of that. But I think it was actually really important for them to abandon this connection in order to do kind of this shadow work that they needed to do, because the first time around in this connection, they did not feel abundant. They did not feel satisfied with their life. They did not feel successful. And they had a lot of stories, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like there was just like so much heaviness in terms of all that energy in their life. Like when you guys were together the first time, I'm sensing that like none of this sort of stuff that they've done recently was anywhere near the way that it is now for them. Like they were potentially like flailing a little bit in that regard. And I think your person may wish that they'd met you when they'd done more of this work, but they also know that they wouldn't have met you, like they wouldn't have done this work had they not have met you. Like it was really you that inspired them to like start all this stuff, and to really change their life. and maybe like a lot of their anxieties are having to do with kind of the way they showed up the first time, I'm sensing, and all of this like lack of abundance, lack of satisfaction kind of energy that they brought into the connection the first time. But they're definitely wanting like a new start for sure. But I think it's important that you don't act and you let them come to you when some of this anxiety is cleared. So the Eight of Wands is a very action orientated card, and like this would be like, it would be super great if this came up for your person, but I'm guessing because it came out with this Empress card in reverse, like I think it's important that the person who acts is your person, not the Empress, who I would assume is kind of like more you in this energy. Like I think it's important that your person acts and that you receive in this connection. Like I think that will definitely help, because kind of what I was saying before in terms of like your person not being satisfied with how they showed up, like they definitely need to bring some of this like energy that they learned how to do in this financial or ambitious situation into this connection and like restart it and like just treat it super differently and bring in so much more abundance and like satisfaction and just enjoyment into this connection that I don't think they had the first time. But they also kind of need to approach it when they're ready and they feel empowered. And they really need you not to initiate it, because it's only going to exacerbate their anxieties, I'm sensing. Like it has to come from them when they're ready, and they're planning it. They just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Yeah, so I'm sensing that they're having like a lot of this anxiety is to do with like potentially how they contributed to the destruction of this relationship the first time around. They're experiencing a lot of regret and loss about it. And they're definitely unpacking a lot of their limiting beliefs that like contributed to them kind of sabotaging this connection the first time around. And this is kind of like all the work that they actually need the space to do before they like come in and act on this connection again and come towards you, pile 2. Like for sure, like it's important for them to have the space to kind of like really like understand, like sit in this regret and loss and then really understand what limiting beliefs they were acting on in order to bring about the destruction of this relationship, so that they can learn from their lessons, learn their lessons and do something different in the future. I'm getting with this Death card that if they weren't to sit in this regret and loss and like kind of ponder on the way things ended the first time, you guys would never get a new beginning, like a truly new beginning, because they would be bringing all the energy from the past into this connection, and it's important that that's cleared before you guys start again. So death the right way up usually signifies endings, but this coming the other way around, I'm sensing it's about like a new beginning not being possible until they kind of like do this work around how the relationship went the first time, what they needed to learn, how they needed to change, how they needed to show up differently in the like next time for the relationship. So yeah, it's what your person wants you to know. It's so important for them to be in solitude right now. Like it is so important for them to sit with their stuff and figure it out on their own. I know you probably know the answers, but you've got to let them work it out for themselves. Honestly, I know that's really hard, especially when you're like intuitive and you just like kind of get it. But they need to get it for themselves, because it needs to be not something that just goes through their mind. It needs to be something that sits in their whole being in a really embodied way. And they're not going to have that embodied transformative experience if they don't sit with it on their own and figure it out on their own and come to that conclusion on their own. Like unless they can do that, the relationship won't transform the way that their like financial situation has transformed. What else does pile 2's person want them to know? They, I think, are working on self-love themselves, but they also want, they would never want to do anything that impacts your ability to love yourself. And I think, aside from it being important for them to like do this work on their own, I think it's really important that you use this space to practice a lot of self-love too. Pile 2, like I'm hearing from your person that like you've potentially like allowed them to not treat you that well because you're intuitive and you know kind of what they're going through and like all the stuff that they need to work on, and you know that they're like, you know that they have pure intentions and a pure soul. So I think you've let them maybe get away with a fair bit of stuff, like enabled them a little bit. And like your person wants you to know that like they don't want to be in your life if they can't contribute to it positively, and they never want to be in your life like ever making you feel like worse off or anything like that, or not enough. And that's definitely what they felt like they were doing the first time around. So yeah, they really want the solitude to protect you as well. Oh my god, not the protection card coming out just as I was downloading that. Yeah, so they want solitude for you as a form of protection for you. They see you as like beautiful and perfect just as you are. Even if you have work to do, I don't think they really see that. Like I'm getting that they potentially put you on a bit of a pedestal and just like see the absolute best in you. And yeah, so they just like really want you to focus on you in this time. It's important to your person that you're okay and that you're doing well, and that they also have space to do all this work on their own, and that you never feel like they don't love you just because they need the space to do their work on their own. Like them needing space to do this work on their own is about their self-love for themselves. It's not about you. And your person wants you to know that. Do you have anything else, any other channeled messages about pile 2's person, what they want them to know? Yeah, you might feel like your commitment to this person is being tested because they're not necessarily acting, even though maybe you would like them to. I'm sensing you would probably prefer them to like come back into your life, like maybe right now. So impatient, pile 2. It's okay. Let them have some space. And the thing is, like, no matter what you choose, it's going to all be okay. Like, even if you decide that this commitment is not for you and you want to walk away, like, you guys will both be divinely protected and provided for by the universe. You guys will get whatever it is that you need. So in this time where your commitment's being tested and maybe you don't know whether to like hold on to this connection or let go, like whatever you choose, it's going to be okay. And just choose what feels right for you and what feels right based on your own boundaries and what you're willing to tolerate. You can like go out and live your life in this time. Like you definitely don't need to hang out for this person. And like your commitment being tested, like you can do with that whatever you want. Like just because you know this person's going through some stuff and working out some stuff doesn't mean you have to hang around if you don't want to. But your person is definitely missing you, definitely thinking about making new memories. Definitely like we've got nostalgia kind of coming up twice. So they're definitely nostalgic of like, I'd say like more spending time with you and the quality of who you are as a person and the quality of your connection kind of on more of a spiritual level. But they definitely want you to go live life, be happily single. Like this person, I think, still has a decent amount of work to do. Like I'd say you guys have been in separation for like a little bit of time where they've done some work, but there's still a fair bit to go. And so your person wants to like you to enjoy that time and not sit around heartbroken over them, or not feeling like super sad about the separation or loss, because like you really deserve to be happy, and it's not your fault that this person brought in so much unhappiness to your life. because they didn't have their shit together. So if you're hurting, like definitely now's the time to indulge yourself. And like, I think your person's also doing a lot of healing and shadow work in this time, and it's like a perfect time for you to do the same thing. But potentially this might be a twin flame connection, especially with this yin yang divine union coupling complementing each other card coming out. Like I would not be surprised at all if this is a twin flame connection for the vast majority that are here. The cards are definitely suggesting that. It seems like you guys have a little bit more work to do in separation from each other, but like definitely I'd say this is like kind of mid separation energy where you're kind of like at a bit of a crossroads and just like really just need to prioritize yourself and doing what you love and focusing on you and self-love and what's important to you. Do we have anything else for pile 2 in regards to what their person wants them to know? Anything else for pile 2 in regards to what they want their person to know? Anything else for pile 2? This deck's always the slowest to come out, these affirmations. I cleanse my entire being from negative energy. I think this has a lot to do with your commitment being tested. If you feel like this is too much negative energy, you can like totally leave it for now. Like you can like put this down. Like that's not to say you won't pick it up in the future or that you never can again. I'm sensing that like there will always be opportunity for you guys to reconnect if you really both desire it. But yeah, you definitely have the freedom to walk away and to cleanse this connection if you would like. You also have the freedom just to cleanse what was negative about this connection and start fresh. So you can do either, it doesn't really matter. Just doing whatever's right for you. Like it's, if what was in this connection was fundamentally just like super great and like super complimentary to yourself and you want that, like keep that and just cleanse all the crap. Like that can be as much as you need to do. Pile 2. And your person wants you to do a big cleanse and clear because they're doing as big a cleanse and clear as they possibly can too. But I think that's enough to kind of ponder on for today, pile 2. Hope you got everything out of this reading that you really wanted and needed. It was a pleasure to do this reading for you. And if you can like, comment and subscribe, especially if your reading resonated, I would really, really appreciate it so that I can see you back on this page again very, very soon. Hey there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading for what your person wants you to know right now. So if you chose this blue crystal, then this reading is probably for you. Before we get into the reading using the traditional tarot and our oracles, we're just going to clarify what the general themes of your person's messages are using this astrology deck. So just while I'm shuffling, remembering to use your intuition and discernment for your channeled messages, knowing that there'll be some messages that'll have better interpretations for your situation, and there'll be some messages that are for you, some ones that aren't, based on this being a general reading. And that intuition and discernment is definitely the most important part of receiving a tarot reading. Like flexing that muscle is just like kind of the biggest gift that you can give yourself. But let's get into messages from your person. Spirit, what does pile 3's person want them to know right now? What does pile 3's person want them to know? What are the themes of what pile 3's person wants them to know? So we have the Sun card, which can reflect like yang and very abundant energy, but it also has to do with our spirit, our life purpose, and sometimes our ego and personality as well. Anything else to do with pile 3's person? Any of the themes for pile 3's person's messages? Okay, we have the solar eclipse, which is like revolution energy. So I'm assuming your person is going through some sort of revolution. It seems like it's potentially a bit wild. let's clarify using this traditional tarot. Spirit, what do we have for pile 3's person's messages? Do we have any pile 3's person's messages, please, Spirit? We have pile 3's persons. We have pile 3's person's messages. We have clarity on the 3 of Wands, please. And the 4 of Swords. And the Empress and High Priestess energy, please. And the Queen of Cups and 5 of Wands energy, please. Okay, pile 3, I'm sensing that your person is going through a big revolution, a big evolution as like a spiritual being. I'm getting lots of like Wands and Swords energy. I'm sensing that they're very yang, probably a divine masculine, and that you're probably a divine feminine. So I'm sensing that this person maybe didn't know what this connection was the first time around. I'm sensing that you're in some sort of separation and potentially maybe like potentially close to reunion, I would say. Like it doesn't seem like a recent separation. It seems like your person has definitely gone through a lot and been through a huge evolution as a spiritual being. They're definitely like they understand this connection a lot more now. They see it for what it is. They feel very inspired by this connection, and they're very certain that this connection came into their life to kind of create this revolution and to make them see things differently than how they were potentially seeing them in the past. Because it seems like this separation period basically created this real renewal for this person, like kind of like gave them a new lease on life and made them understand it completely differently. Like they understand themselves and you like so differently than what they did in the past. I'm sensing that they definitely want like a new start with you, but maybe like right now they're not quite courageous enough to create that action. And the reason that I'm sensing that they're not having this like courageousness to like reinitiate this connection for a renewal is that what they're focusing on right now is like essentially learning how to like respect you and treat you better, and like respect you as like divine counterpart energy, and like divine feminine energy. Like I don't think they like kind of got that about you when they met you. Maybe you didn't even get it yourself. But right now they definitely feel inspired to like learn how to show up for you like way better, and respect this energy in you like more deeply, like have a lot more like be able to worship you in that energy a lot more, have a lot more respect for you, be able to like understand and support you in that energy a lot more. Because I'm getting definitely from these upside down is like, even though they've realized that this is potentially who you are, like this Empress High Priestess archetype, like they had no idea how to support you in the past. No idea, like even that you were like this kind of energy, to be honest. I'm definitely getting that in the past they didn't know how to treat this energy in you at all, like especially kind of like your calmness and intuition, and kind of very loving energy. Like, I don't think they really knew how to take that. And I think maybe like sometimes what people do in relationships is they start to try to get their partner to assimilate to their way. Like, I'm sensing that they maybe tried to turn you more into like a divine feminine in terms of like wands and swords energy, and wasn't actually respecting that you're like kind of much more of this like cups and pentacles energy, like more of the divine feminine archetype for sure. And they're like realizing now that that was like so just like not honoring who you really were, and was actually more about them and their insecurities around stepping up to be this like kind of divine masculine, like protector provider kind of energy, and like balance you in terms of a divine counterpart. Like they're realizing now that a lot of them trying to maybe change you in the past was like their issue, and like yeah, just them trying to either control the situation, make it feel better, and like maybe avoid feeling like out of control or disempowered, or like kind of not knowing how to deal with you, was like essentially just to try and make you more like them, instead of like respecting that you were different and just learning how to treat you. What else do we have? Ooh, that's a lot. So it seems like your person has been doing like a lot of work on themselves. They're definitely way more abundant and satisfied in their own life, for sure. And yeah, I'm sensing what they're like intending to start working on is like honoring their own divine masculine energy more. Like, I think they've worked out that potentially like there's no kind of outside learning that they can do to try and like get this energy any more than they kind of already have. And the only way to kind of learn how to be a better partner for you is to kind of like really throw themselves into this like Emperor energy and explore that very deeply, because they know that you're their divine counterpart, and the things that they need to know about that connection will illuminate itself as they work on themselves more and step more into this like divine masculine energy. And that's definitely why they think that's why this separation and isolation was necessary and important. Like, they definitely see that as kind of the purpose of this separation, was you both like stepping into this divine feminine and divine masculine energy. I would not be surprised if a twin flame card came out. Not that was an accident, but guys, abundance and abundance. Okay, your person is feeling like super abundant. We also have the Six of Pentacles here, which is like a huge giving and generosity card. So I'm getting that like part of your person stepping into their divine masculine is about them working on themselves, like in terms of their abundance and like success in the physical, and like protector provider energy. Like, that's definitely what they're working on right now, and like probably seeing a lot of success in, just based on the amount of those cards that just like jumped out. Like, that is so funny. Like, I'm also not surprised, but yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so I think this time is definitely about the two of you coming home to yourself in this Emperor Empress energy, and learning how to balance off each other by really understanding the balance within yourself, and the polarity within yourself at the same time. Yeah. Wow, this is a lot, guys. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of good stuff incoming for you, for sure. Like, just like so much love and abundance and success and happiness. And yeah, I think there's going to be a lot coming into your life in the near future that you're going to feel super grateful for. If not this connection immediately, at least being grateful for like what balance and clarity and like magic you can find within yourself first. Ooh. So we have a fiery climax approaches, and don't let the past hold you back. potentially you guys are actually nearing to reuniting than I first thought. Like, it seems like maybe you guys have done so much work and that you're so much closer to this like Emperor Empress, like divine counterpart energy, that you could potentially come back to union very soon. It's definitely important that you don't let your past hold you back. Like, obviously there's a lot of energy here saying that your person didn't treat you right the first time. So don't let that like kind of hold you back in terms of like being overly apprehensive about them, because they've obviously done a lot of work. But then also don't repeat the mistakes of the past in terms of like not setting boundaries and like maybe enabling your person, like just being mindful around that sort of stuff that might have come up the first time that potentially need to be redirected and expressed differently in this new cycle that's coming. Do we have anything else about what pile 3's person wants them to know? I'm getting that your person definitely wants to prepare you for this climax, for like potentially reuniting. Yeah, this, so mirror is like definitely divine counterpart like energy, mirroring each other like back to yourselves. It's definitely divine counterpart energy. We also have like a lot of heartbreak separation energy, so I think like definitely you guys will be in separation right now and like kind of working on your stuff right now, but the whole point of all this stuff is so that you can like ascend and transcend and create this revolution within each of you that will totally change how you show up in the world, and just like teach you so much stuff. Like, I'm getting that you guys taught each other so much stuff, and I think definitely like I'm sensing, especially because these cards both came out in reverse, that like it's definitely approaching this reunion, but there's still like maybe a little ways to go. So in this time, just like enjoying like kind of your last moments of freedom, essentially, is what I'm getting. Your person wants you to enjoy your last moments of freedom, because I'm sensing that like when you guys reunite, they're going to kind of come in and like a house on fire. They're potentially going to ask you to move in. I'm getting from this keys on a ring. And yeah, like be prepared for that. Be prepared for it to like move very quickly when you guys do reunite. Do we have anything else for pile 3? Yeah, it seems like you guys have definitely done a lot of shadow work, especially when it comes to your own feelings of not enoughness, and your person's definitely done that in terms of like not projecting their feelings of not enoughness onto you and trying to change you to accommodate for those not enough feelings. But they've stepped in. There's 3, like pretty much every abundance card that could have come out came out, guys, apart from like maybe the sun card. But yeah, so definitely I think your person is very abundant. Like, they're probably seen huge financial success recently, and like I'd say this is abundance in terms of like your love and connection and all that sort of stuff as well, especially with this passion, like insane chemistry kind of coming out. Like, I think this connection in itself is super abundant, so super wild. Like, I would not be surprised if your person like literally won the lottery or something. Like, this is so much abundance. So good though. Happy for you. Happy for you, boo. All right, do we have any last? Okay, so we have, my life is filled with serenity. I exist in harmony. I am at peace. Like, I think this is definitely what's impending for you kind of right before you guys reunite, is this kind of like feeling of like peace and just like real readiness to reunite, I'm getting. Yeah, this is like definitely a good time, guys. Like, you guys are definitely in for a good time, like very, very soon. And definitely have a lot to celebrate and enjoy. And I think you definitely deserve it. Like, you've obviously been through a lot with this person, like a lot of heartbreak and separation and just like a lot of pain. And you've both obviously done the shadow work that you need to do in order to like restart this connection. So I don't know, it's all looking really good. But I think I'm going to leave that here, pile 3. It has been a pleasure to read for you. If you've made it all the way through, I appreciate it so much. And if you can like, comment, and subscribe, especially if your reading resonated, that will help me stay on your feed so that we can do another intuitive tarot reading very, very soon. Ciao. That's all I have for you today. If you made it all the way through the video, thank you so much. My name is Jade Rewilding, and I will be on this channel doing intuitive tarot card readings for whenever you need it, guys. So please like, comment, and subscribe to keep me on your page and to keep those channeled messages coming. Ciao.